secret sauce recipe time. Okay, so big warning. If you cannot handle swearing and authentic, no, what is that word?
Authenticity.
Yeah, that one, Erin. We're just going to get very real. Brace yourselves. I may slip into 3D emotions again, and that's going to be okay. I may swear, and I apologize for my potty mouth. I sense a lot of these topics that you want to bring to me today, Erin. I should just free flow as Joe, and I will. Unless I say, oh, this is a message from our team or our collective. I know that Archangel Michael wants to have a conversation. I don't know if we'll find the way to get him in, but there's a lot on our minds, and this is a great opportunity for us to share with each other as friends, but also thinking, well, if these are really valid questions that Erin has, Erin, while she is a super unicorn in terms of learning this information and really at speed record rate processing the crap out of this information and mastering it in quite a fast fashion, that is so shocking and surprising and refreshing to me that it has been interesting and very positive to see your journey, Erin. So leave now if you can't handle gossip, if you can't handle swearing, if you can't handle just real talk, because today is the day that I want to get off my chest and be real and try to explain as much as I can for Erin and anyone else that's still wanting to listen.
Yes, girl, I'm excited for this. Shall we?
We shall.
Okay. So I have a ton of questions about Qhht. I instantly became a Dolores Cannon fan when I discovered about her not too long, a year ago. A lot of respect for her work and therefore your work. I have a lot of questions about Qhht practitioners in particular. Why is your information so different than, most of the Qhht practitioners and the Qhht company itself, what their official stance is on New Earth?
Good question. Of course, I can't speak for all the other practitioners. I can only speak for myself. I can only speak for the experiences that I've had. And so speaking for myself, my life contract was changed in 2018 to be of service in this capacity. I didn't quite know it then, and it's only been much further down the track in my own personal sessions that it was shown to me exactly why. And so I only know the information that I get is the information I get. I get connected to profound, amazing people around the world who also have really big, important roles to play to be able to awaken humanity with the biggest truth. I guess biggest truth sounds labely, but the reality is this information from sessions is not for everyone. Not everyone can cope with this information, nor should they be forced to cope with this information. This information is for very specific people who are able and ready to see their 3D lives in not in a less significant manner, but to be able to cope with it and to see it in a balanced and neutral purpose and lessons and experiences to be prepared for what's next. And some people haven't done enough of their own inner work to get to what is next. And that is not judgment, that is observations. And so for some practitioners who are supposed to get the information of what's next, they haven't quite got there themselves. And so one of the big things I really heard with Dolores when we were doing the course is the client and the practitioner can block the information from sessions if they're not ready to hear the bigger information. And so it's such a disservice to the client and the practitioner if they haven't done enough of their 3D experiences, mastered their 3D experiences, to then get the next. And so, of course, there is many reasons why different practitioners are getting different information. They're collectives, for example. We know that the reptilian collective, they are getting different information because the new earth for them is here in their perspective. Because, you know, I don't converse with other practitioners who are reptilian starseeds, not because I have a problem with them. It's just that they have a problem with me and this information. This scares the shit out of them. This hurts their heart. This upsets them to think that they're not included in this. And if this was all of this information, if this was just Joe's wish list of, I'm bored with my life, so I want to create lots of nonsense and bullshit, I wouldn't have a problem with including everyone. I wouldn't. From my perspective, it's going to be, you know, whatever's next. If I'm going to create my own reality and, you know, talk about positive future experiences, because I want positive future. I need to have a positive future to be able to keep myself balanced. And while positive may sound like judgment, because there is really no good or bad, and it sounds like I'm trying to say positive future is a good future, I fully accept that we have to have all these experiences to learn and grow from. But to find my inner peace, I have to believe and trust that all of this is for something important. All of this, what we're experiencing in our weekly and daily lives, has meaning and purpose for a positive. So I'm totally like, I feel like I've got 1,000 fucking things I want to share with you, but I don't even know, like, I'm totally getting myself out of track. So your question was QHHT practitioners getting different information. So therefore, I'm going to try and summarize it. Different collectives, different information, different level or layer or abilities to do their own inner work. You were talking earlier, Erin, about how would people even know who is a good practitioner. Obviously, if your practitioner is new and starting out, because remember, all practitioners have to do 25 free sessions, that interns, they're still going to be triggered by a lot of your own personal questions. You know, they haven't done all of their own personal inner work. I don't care if they are masters or have doctorates in psychology or whatever. Do not buy into any self-labels, even qualifications. Okay, listen to this, please. If you're going to try and find which is the best practitioner for you, you want a practitioner who has had many of their own sessions, because that means they have not only been honest and responsible for their own inner work, they understand this work. They get this work. And not only are you looking for a practitioner who understands this work and has got this work and has healed themselves through this work, they've also read Dolores Cannon's books and understand the process, the beauty, and the power that these sessions have. There's a lot going on there. And I understand it's tempting to jump into a practitioner who's free, and they're very valid. You want to help them. You want to help them. Anyone that's listening now should be trying to find if there is a local practitioner who's free in their community to help support them. Because as we know in our awakening, it's lonely when we are starting to ask these bigger questions and we don't have our friends and family on the same journey with us. Metaphysical people are different. And if you are open and aware of this information and want to have an experience for yourself to help others, that's a profound thing. Remembering the role of a practitioner is to listen to everything that you have got on your mind and everything that you've had big in your lifetime, this lifetime, to be able to understand the lessons, the purpose, the reasons, the significance, the importance of your life so far for you. And be able to see if, because of your blocks and limitations or whatever, that has manifested diseases or illnesses for your body now, learning the root cause of it will be able to unblock you and heal you. It is a pretty profound thing to understand what your body is trying to tell you from your own beliefs of self. Again, I've got completely off topic. Support all practitioners because they really want to do this work and understand this work, but be mindful of when practitioners think that they're going to tell you what their belief system is. No, my friends, your subconscious is going to tell you what's happening. So make sure the practitioner asks all of your questions. Make sure the practitioner doesn't poo-poo any of your questions, and make sure they know that their job is to listen and ask questions, not give you any answers. You're not there for advice, because you want to be able to be put into a deep state of relaxation so you can allow your subconscious to come through and talk to you and give you that information. And of course, you're going to finish that session thinking you've made the whole thing up. There's a huge process that goes with trusting this information. Listening back to your session is very important, and most people assume that they remember all session information, and that's not possible. You have to really listen back to it to be able to remember and put into place and apply the information. It's not just about knowing about when the shift's going to happen or what's going to, what this planet's going to look like. Blah. Those are insignificant real details when you're trying to work through your own inner work. And a lot of people who hear about this information from sessions think, oh, well, I know this information, I accept the new earth, so therefore I must be going to the new earth. This is a great opportunity every day for us to be able to heal and release our blocks and our traumas and our challenges from this lifetime, understanding the purpose, the lesson, the reason why. So we must be actively working on it in our work, because it's so easy once you understand why we are getting triggered certain ways, how we're responding, how we're still reacting to things that keep us bogged down in the 3D.
Thank you. Yes, let me go. I'm going to go two different ways with your response. The first question I have with you is, what amount of shadow work did you have to do in order to get access to this high level, high perspective information?
Oh my gosh. Well, when I started getting information about the shift to the new earth, up until that stage, I believed and trust and respected this work. When I started hearing about the information about the new earth and the shift and leaving our carbon-based bodies behind, that's when I started having real trouble understanding this work and why. Why was this information coming out? And keep coming out again and again and again in different information. And it was really hard, really, really, really hard to understand this. And I honestly thought for quite a while that I was somehow making my clients come up with this information that was obviously ridiculous and super fucking scary. And one of Dolores's things, as she said, was the practitioner can impact the sessions if they haven't done enough of their inner work. So as soon as I started getting this information, I couldn't understand it. And I was thinking, okay, so no other practitioner is talking about this. This is me something's wrong with me. Oh God, I can't believe I'm getting emotional about this. Okay, I'm releasing. When I panicked thinking that there was something wrong with me and this information, and that I was obviously doing this work wrong, because this is such a huge fucking topic. This is so impactful to like everybody that, and no one was talking about it. Obviously there was something wrong with me. And so I realized I needed to do a lot of sessions for myself, to be able to find out why this information was so stupid. You know, why? And it was really hard because I thought I was doing it wrong and that I was impacting my clients somehow, but I couldn't understand how. I kept listening to the sessions. I was not feeding them any other information from other clients. It was not possible for them to listen to any other sessions from other clients, but yet they were still saying the same information. And it was like, it was hard. And then, you know, in sessions, it sounds, you know, it's very legitimate. I could feel the energy. It made so much sense. And then out of the sessions, when I'm, you know, ignoring my folded washing that needs to be folded and I'm doing dishes, you know, it was then my ego would come in with massive self-doubt. Like, oh, well, I must have tripped up and said something to them, or I must have asked a wrong question. And, you know, then the subconscious was pandering to what I've heard in other sessions, and I still don't get it. I still don't understand why I'm getting this information. And then, of course, because no other practitioners were getting this information that I could find or talk to, and then the clients, they would be quite shocked themselves with the information. So they, you know, I suddenly became the plague to them because they don't want to talk to me about this, because what was in their own sessions made a lot of sense to them until they also started hearing this new information. So therefore the clients thought that they were obviously insane and creating this bullshit. And so it kind of was difficult for us to keep talking about it. I wanted to talk about it because I thought I was going to go mad about it, insane almost. And then, you know, the clients were really shocked that they were getting this information as well, which sounded so freaking ludicrous. But yet their subconscious is talking about it with utter certainty and clarity and details that they'd never even considered. A lot of my clients had no idea that ETs even existed, let alone ships. That's stuff for TV and bullshit. That's not their world. It's not their reality. And yet in sessions, they've had experiences where they have evacuated other planets, and that this is the reason why they're here now. And they were like, I thought that past lifetimes was just going to be this lifetime. You know, this planet. They were so confused. You know, they just started understanding about reincarnation. The thought of having other lifetimes off other planets blew their minds, you know, was really big. And I did buy all the Dolores Cannon books, but, you know, we've got preschool kids and I had my own sort of life I was living, doing other stuff. I thought this work would be like an interesting hobby of curiosity to see if I could help people physically, because one of the videos I listened to with Dolores was explaining how people create cancer. And I'm like, my gosh, if I could be able to help people maybe that could, you know, heal themselves from cancer, like, oh my God, like who would say no to being able to help people from that? You know, like it did sound too crazy. Because again, when I remember watching the video, rushing to my partner and saying to him, oh my gosh, Dolores Cannon said that people create cancers and that they can heal themselves with cancer. You know, this sounds fucking revolutionary. This sounds like every bloody person needs to hear this as soon as possible, because could you imagine healing the world from cancer by being able to find the root cause of it? Like from that beginning point where I was super green and naive and was just like, oh my gosh, this is like, wow, that's huge information. I need to tell the world that. Imagine healing the world from this, you know. And then when I started telling my friends about it, they were like, oh my gosh, no, stupid Joe, that's ridiculous. Like, no, if that was the truth, don't you then think the medical industry would know this? Like, think about it, Joe, you silly, stay-at-home mom who plays with pottery, you stupid hippie artist. No, obviously, because there is professionals that have studied this. They've tried every which way to understand this. And this is, the stigma that I got about trying to help people, it was hard. It was so hard. I mean, it sounds ridiculous now. I don't know why I'm like reliving.
No, but it doesn't sound ridiculous. And I think about this all the time. I think other people do too. Like, when they're able to imagine themselves in your shoes, the first thought that goes through their mind, I guarantee you, because it went through mine, is, I don't know if I could have done that. She is tough. This is a big homework assignment. This is a big workload, because no one thinks, oh yeah, it would be a good idea for someone to spend all this time for free and write a book to help people for free and on all this really heavy shit to get notoriety. Oh wait, but her name and her picture isn't actually attached, so that can't be it. And it's really tough information, so it can't be something that this isn't a hobby. Clearly, it's higher than that. It's a calling. So I think a lot of people do wonder, how'd she do it? Like, what was it like? Because no, really, like, I don't think I could have done it. And so, there are buckets full of YouTubers that fall in the category of couldn't do it. So, I mean, it must be very similar to what Dolores Cannon went through herself. Is that right?
Well, every time I feel that I'm struggling with something, either it's, whatever in this work, I always know that Dolores had it so much more harder, and that I really have nothing to, I feel like this conversation is almost on the verge of having a pity party, so I apologize for that. But I wanted to share, because I haven't even really thought about my own journey and really scratched into it. And I know, Erin, you were like, I want to know everything, how you got to be here. And it's like, where do you begin? Where do you begin with what I had to overcome for my own self? Like, just reincarnation, different beings, different planets, all this different stuff that you have to kind of accept to be able to hear the bigger information. Lots of people don't want to, it's too much. Lots of people are allergic to new information. And even though our souls know this information very well, our very friendly ego, Dolores Cannon would say it's Mr. Stupid, would come in and control it and shut it down. So a lot of people hear new information, and they, instead of stopping and thinking and pausing and exploring that, because it's new information, it's I don't know, it's really scary, and the ego will shut it down instantly because it could be a change. It seems like the egos don't want change. And remembering we all have egos, some have big egos, some have small egos, and it's about balancing our egos so we can be better in harmony, to be able to be open to new information, conversations, but it not trigger us with our own beliefs, and I think this is why a lot of practitioners are struggling, because they've read Dolores's books about the new earth being here. And she has told us in many sessions that that was the case at the time when she wrote the book. But the reality is, Gaia, remember the being that is on this planet, that's having her own life experiences and her own life contract, and she's using her own free will. Bless humanity to think that they're more important than Gaia's free will. There's a lot going on, and my heart goes out to people who are trying to find the truth, and then they stumble across very firm, opinionated practitioners or whomever who has one fixated idea from maybe 20 years ago and cannot explore it more. Potentially that is their life contracts, because they're going to the old earth themselves, because they are, needing those experiences. But I have held back having many conscious mind conversations because I don't want to be the voice of explaining these sessions. I do understand that sometimes these sessions, the experience one has with these sessions isn't explained in the information of the session experiences. The biggest thing that isn't explained when you listen to these sessions is getting to know who the person is who we're listening to, their subconscious and higher self. A lot of people assume that it is just a person's information, and it's not a person's information. When you actually get to speak to, my clients as their, as who they are in their normal waking hours and days, you can see that they are still very normal 3D loving and living people who would never want to create the event of a laser. No one I know would try to create, this horrific event that is going to traumatize humanity. My friends, they are my friends because we've had quite a few sessions, and we've had private sessions where I get to see how hard their lives have been, how they've mastered it, and how they want to be of service, because that literally is part of their life contract, to be of service. And so, I fully respect those who have been of service with this work. There are, of course, people who have jumped with their egos to be of service with this work and have identified themselves more as their higher selves and subconscious than actually their 3D counterparts. Even today, I heard someone talking today about how he was his higher self. And it's not true. If you are your higher self, I mean, yes, we are. It's like, I'm a human body. I've got arms and legs. My arm is not my leg, but it is one. And Erin is not her Erin's not her subconscious, and Erin's not her higher self, but yet you're all part of one. The lower the density that you reside in, the smaller the aspect and the mindset that you can carry of information. You're supposed to, in this lifetime in 3D, master emotions. That is the most simplest way of what we are supposed to be experiencing in this lifetime. In the fifth dimension, it's different. But sorry, I feel like I've got a million things that I'm trying to jam into these sessions.
You're all good. Let's go back to Qhht practitioners. Do they know what collective they are from? Well, I would assume that they would have done enough homework to know their origins, or is that a bad assumption to make from them?
Depending on each practitioner, some practitioners don't ask who their subconscious is. They just think it's a group of beings that give us all the information, and every practitioner gets the same information. We know that's not true. So some practitioners do want to know, but really, in true sessions that aren't for public consumption, in true private sessions, the practitioner doesn't dictate what the questions are. So it's the client who may want to know, who is my collective, who is my subconscious. The client dictates the questions the practitioner asks. So with some of these sessions, those people who want them to be public, I have felt that it is important for people to know who the subconscious is in terms of identifying what collective we're dealing with. Of course, we should trust that this information is from higher dimensional beings who are lovingly guiding us to be able to master this lifetime, to prepare us for, you know, what is coming, and, you know, and also explaining to us what's happened in the past. Some subconsciouses are not physical, some are, and it is, you know, do we want to get stuck in the small details of things, or can we cope with seeing things from the bigger perspective?
You mean on subconsciouses?
Well, just for anything. Can we cope with seeing things from just knowing things from the bigger perspective, that these sessions provide higher dimensional being perspectives?
Yeah, I'm just curious if that plays a part in whether or not, or what answers people receive if someone is a client, if the subconscious of the practitioner somehow dictates the answers that are received in the session.
Well, you'll get limited information if the client or the practitioner or both are not ready to hear the bigger information. So it is the subconsciouses know exactly what's going on there. They know where the client's at, they know where the practitioner is at. So when the subconscious gets given a question, like it's like people who listen to these sessions, right? They're not ready to hear the bigger information. So they've only ever heard in sessions, love yourself. They've never heard love yourself and others. They're not ready to hear about others. They just want to hear about themselves. So they're just only able to hear the information. So the subconscious knows exactly what should and shouldn't be given to the client and the practitioner. Sometimes they will drop bombs on us. Sorry, probably not the right analogy, but this term, but you know, sometimes they will shock the crap out of us with information, just because we are dilly-dallying around, and we must hear this, we must process this. I've had lots of clients who've been told future stuff when they firmly said, I don't want to know future stuff. And the subconscious knows best. It's our egos that think we know best. And so whatever the information that comes from these sessions from our subconscious is the best for us. It's frustrating for people who want to just ignore all their 3D inner work crap and get the biggest information of what's next when they haven't even cleaned their rooms, when they're still holding on to judgment, fear, anger, blah, 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 victim, blah, all that stuff. You cannot skip. You cannot jump ahead. And this is what Dolores said, and this is what the subconscious is saying. You get the information that is the best suited for you, what you can cope with and what you can handle. It's just like saying, why can't, if there was aliens and if they were real, why can't they just come down and have a cup of tea with me and tell me the secrets of the universe? And then, you know, everyone wants that. I'm so ready. I want to see it. I can prepare myself for it. I'm totally willing and ready to do it. And why are they not exposing themselves to me? And every single time, you know, those people who are so frustrated, like, prove yourselves. Every single time the subconscious has said, well, first of all, you'd shit your pants, because we look so terrifying to you. Second of all, we don't need to prove ourselves to you, because you should know intuitively, if you've done all of your inner work, that we exist. But so many people want shortcuts. Give me the answer straight away. I don't want to listen to a whole fucking hour of bullshit. Tell me the information now in a summary so I can hear it, that I can then choose whether I want to buy into it or not.
Yeah, so true. So true. Yeah, I cringe whenever I see that comment on that Facebook page. I'm like, really? I think you're in the wrong group, buddy. Not here.
Well, it is a lot. People want to distract themselves with entertainment, and you know, the thought of doing inner work, people would rather clean their oven. You know, like, no thank you. Inner work feels like emotions that I have been quite happily stuffing into my body, into my organs for a long time. I don't process my emotions, I hoard them.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's
so
like the TV show Hoarders.
So in terms of what work I have done, well, I was convinced originally that I was somehow impacting this information in a really bad way. And I didn't want to impact my clients like that. I loved every single journey with my clients because they had to share with me some really, really personal stuff that I had to love and support them with and have no judgment with. Dolores said, you cannot judge anyone. You just don't know the purpose and the reasons why they are going through those experiences, why they wanted those experiences for themselves. But of course, at the beginning, I was very judgy. I did judge people who would tell me that they'd have affairs. And I would just think, you're just, oh my God, don't even look at my partner when you leave my home, you little hussy, like, I would react to it, while trying to be very mature and professional. And then, you'd only have a few clients that had affairs, and then you realized, wow, that's past lifetime stuff. That's really significant. I can understand that, and then it's all this, like, I have learned so much from these sessions. And, I love learning from these sessions, the bigger perspective of every single aspect. And it has been such a beautiful honor and journey to learn all of this. It has helped me so much. And, I'm really sorry that people get triggered with this information. I truly am, because being triggered with this bigger truth of information, means that you really haven't done your inner work. And I'm sorry that people have not chosen to empower themselves to do the inner work. I truly am, because that way of life is fucking hard. That is the most hardest thing you could do to yourself. And, even if people don't want to believe in it or say that they can, that, they're the masters of their reality and they choose not to have this planet die because, they are, they're humans and they're important and their egos are saying, I can control everything. Bless you for that. That gives you comfort and joy and security. Go for it. It's not going to be the reality because, you are not the one only person in this reality, even though we're one and that there is one, conscious collective experience when we all return to source. It really doesn't work like that. And I think a lot of people have heard things from other channelers or information that's come out and they've grabbed it as they want to hear it, and then they just repeat it as if that's going to be factual. But if that gives them comfort to think that they create reality, they create their own reality, well, I'd like to have some questions and I'd like to have a conversation with them, because I'd like to know why they have chosen, why they chose the lockdowns, why they chose the crimes against humanity, why did they chose all this stuff, pollution, I would love to understand why they have created that. Because if you have created your reality, let's have a conversation, my friend. I would like to know then, since apparently you're the master of the universe and we're just, entertainment for you as you roll through your life, tell us then why you've created certain things in this reality for us to enjoy. What would you like us to learn from that? What would you like us to grow from that? What was the significance and the purpose if you are the creator of all realities?
That's a good point. They are picking and choosing their negative events to focus on. I didn't even think of it, but now it's funny.
Well, yeah. And so it's time for people to start really listening to who they follow and what is their reactions and how they are using their emotions. Are they still getting triggered by the crimes against humanity? Fair enough. Fair enough if people are still getting triggered by the crimes against humanity. But when you know the bigger purpose, that it is to awaken those, when you accept that life contracts have been played out as those life contracts wanted to, we can't judge and we can't react emotionally to anyone else's life journey. We only have responsibility for our own.
Touché. So, question about collectives. Last question. We've mentioned other people's collectives, but what is your collective? Who do you work with?
Well, when I call in my subconscious, he's a Turian. And so, and I just kind of visualize him at like a call center, which infuriates him because he's like, I am not. Well, it doesn't, like the simplest way is, he's at a desk, he's at a working desk, he's busy doing other stuff. And then when I call him in, he literally like picks up the phone. But it's not like that at all, obviously. But, he is there when I want to connect in with him. We have had an interesting body exchange. I think I've discussed that before, where he just energetically came in to feel into the body, but it was disgusting, he said. So, that was a one-off experience. And I got to experience feeling into his body, which was really interesting too. But it was just, when I was playing, I've played around a lot with these sessions, but I work with these sessions with true respect. And there is a difference, I think, for how some people want to misuse this work. And the subconscious knows that as well. So a lot of people have complained to me why they aren't getting, the secrets of the universe, because, they wanted to know, let's just be ridiculous here and say they wanted to know people's bank accounts, and how much money they had. Do you really think that high dimensional beings are going to play with you with that? It's a bit silly. And, people have been trying to misuse this work. You try to misuse this work, that's interesting. That is interesting. So what I wanted to say, and what you were talking about earlier, Erin, with someone saying that because you create your own reality, if you discuss and talk about the new Earth being off this planet, then consciously you're creating Armageddon. Is that right?
Yeah, the laser event is focusing on that, is therefore us creating an apocalyptic event.
God. Well, I mean,
apparently, yeah.
Okay. Well, the thing is, I'm going to say this with much love to everyone listening. Most people listening to these sessions really hope that none of it's true, because it's too effing hard to really see and accept all of the information, right? No one wants to think ahead of time that there is an event that's going to hurt people, traumatically hurt them. Like it's going to, we've been told in sessions, it's going to traumatize the world with this. Who wants to honestly believe that? Who wants to accept that and be like, yeah, that's going to be fantastic? No one. We are all going, gosh, I really hope that's not the case. I really hope that humanity can sort its shit out first before that. I want to be in denial with that. That's heartbreaking. When I heard them talking about people being in dust and the children, I cried. I got to pull my shit together to be able to not have my quiver in my voice and talk about this and be like, I have begged them for support and help and understanding and protect us all from everything. I don't want anyone hurt ever. The thought of it makes me just want to, it's been a huge journey to have this acceptance. And we have to be in that neutral respect of what has to come now, because everyone's choices have been to dismiss the truth, to dismiss what's going on, not step up for the truth and not actually be of service to humanity, because everyone's still in fear and worry and doubt and judgment and comparisons, because we've all got that main mindset of living, because we've listened to so many gurus and influencers that are still in fear. So then that just marinates us back into a fear-based scenario. Yes, I can understand people who are new to listening to the sessions think, God, that laser information's fucking horrific. It scares the shit out of me. And the reality is let's not believe it and, see how that goes. Again, none of it's our control. But for those people who have asked about it in their own sessions, and the subconscious has said they don't want to talk about it, They said it is going to happen. They're not going to tell the person the location of it. And then I say to the subconscious, well, that's just going to make my client freak out. Because if you're not going to talk about it, it makes them think, oh, am I on the firing line of this? And what the subconscious says is, it doesn't matter who my clients are. If the subconscious doesn't want to talk about the laser event, the subconscious will explain why. Because the person's so empathetic that if they got this information about when and where, that person would feel then suddenly responsible to warn. Do you want to have that responsibility of knowing that you could warn people about an event that's coming up that we are hearing about as a possibility of our timelines? Like, that's a huge responsibility you're actually asking. So sometimes people think that they want the gossip and the information and the juicy details of these sessions. And the reality is the subconscious says, you can't handle that, my friend. You cannot cope with the responsibility of being aware of the details of these events for various reasons. Because, I mean, it's a mind fuck. It's a mind fuck. I know the people who have had the sessions of the laser events coming out, it's a shock for them. It's not their secret wish that they have this happen to humanity. No one wants this to happen to humanity. Really, if we had to be honest with each other and say, really would choose not to have that today, thank you, or whenever. You know, let's not traumatize humanity, because humanity is already super traumatized. But that's my ego. That is my very 3D based mindset, trying to think how we can work around this. I mean, I spent, weeks trying to work around how we could convince Gaia to stay and we'll be good. Like I tried so much to try and figure out the loopholes of how we could get it to work that feels easy and not so stressful, not so hard. And every time I have those big conversations with the subconscious, they basically tell me to, grow up, understand this is beyond just me, understand that this is, Gaia's free will, and respect other people's life contracts. You can't control this. These lessons here, these experiences that must be had. So it has been hard to hear this information. I can't own this information. No one can own this information. We have to hear it, accept it, and process it however we can to find our neutral and balance. And if your hope is that it doesn't occur, I'm not going to judge you for that. It's a big thing to step into something like a laser. We've also heard information about broadcasts before from these collectives. We've heard so much information from these sessions, and then timelines change and events change. Do I think that they're lying to us at the moment when we ask the sessions? No, I don't. I don't think that they lie to us. I don't think that they are, tricky reptilian AI, whatever, trying to distract us from whatever. I don't think the information is false. I think the information is exactly what the client and myself can hear at that time. I'm still trying to process everything, and I still have to ask big questions. And I'm sorry if people think that I'm asking leading questions, but the higher selves don't pander to me. The higher selves and the subconsciouses don't just give me information that I want. Oh, I don't want the fucking laser. Sorry, but not sorry. I can respect and understand it from what they have told us. I have to find my balance and neutral. But they're not telling me information that I want to hear. And if you kind of think that I'm one of those sickos that needs this in their lives, I don't. I have beautiful children. I have a happy life. You know, I don't want this for anyone.
It's so heavy. It's so, so heavy. And we are very limited in our perspective here, even you, because you're still here. I mean, we're very lucky to have the support and the information that the collective provides us. The collective's very, very lucky, because without that, I would be eating worms and dirt. But we still will never truly know what's going on while we're here. And the best we can do is continue to find that neutral space and connect in with our own team so we can better understand this, because it's heavy. It's hard to understand. I'm working full speed ahead on this. I am not even close to understanding myself. So I think that.
Do you think that the reason why we get to hear about the laser is that when it does happen, because the media and the governments and the official people will be saying it's, you know, it is an attack from a different species, it's aliens, you know, they're coming to get us, and, you know, and role play, very scary movie we've ever watched. Do you think it's us that has to know the truth beforehand, so when it does happen, if it does happen, that we can then share that information with our friends, knowing that that's not what the media is saying, knowing that's not the official? Are we willing to then say to our friends and family what we know? I mean, that's a big.
This is all documented. I mean, when was the first message that you received on this? Your first public session on it? What, 3-4 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago?
My sense of time is really bizarre. So I could say
yeah,
like 15 years ago, and that would feel around about right. So
yeah, time is weird. Well, it's all documented. It's all there already.
It was the information. So I remembered watching that disclosure. Oh, who is it? What's that doctor's name? The guy who's really bitter that no one believes him about. Well, not people do believe him.
Greer?
Yeah.
Greer?
Yeah. So whenever he did his hoax thing, I hadn't even asked about it in a session yet, but I listened to him saying he's really worried that there's going to be another hoax that is going to terrorize humanity. You know, because the last one was, I mean, he said the last one was September 11, right? Well, I mean, I'm assuming there's, oh, hang on, sorry. What is the pandemic at the moment? Yeah, so.
Yeah, valid.
Yep. You know, like, I just want to say to those people who still really deeply believe in the virus and who are scared of the virus, you know, sorry, I don't know if I have the same. I'm not going to pretend. I'm actually going to own it and say I actually am not afraid of the virus. I don't believe that there is the virus as we have been sold. So I haven't publicly put out my own opinion of this. Everything I've asked from sessions, I really respect, and it gives me comfort. And if I'm stupid because I have a different perspective and have balance and inner peace from others, well, then I don't care. I'm happy to be stupid in your opinion. But for me, I need to have inner peace and balance for my sanity and for, you know, raising my little children and to be of service to humanity. So if that sounds ridiculous to you, please have compassion and respect that everyone is entitled to their own opinions. My personal beliefs do not actually impact you. And, you know, I really want people to understand that I'm not trying to trigger you. I'm not trying to offend you. I'm trying to cope the best I can in my 3D. I don't speak out vocally about my belief systems much at all publicly, nor should I have to, nor should I want to. But, you know, I want people to feel as safe as possible, and whatever their choices that they do, mindsets and actions, I will fully support you with that.
I think that's probably a good place to stop it, unless you had any final questions. I want to do a separate thing on subconscious completely. We're already at an hour and 3 minutes.
You're timing it. Oh, that's interesting. Well, we wanted to talk about, I mean, I've still got time if you've got time.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Bullshit, Erin. So, time's man-made construct and it's an illusion.
Is it yesterday or 15 years ago? Feels about the same. I don't know.
Okay, so
my laundry literally took 5 minutes to do today, and I want to know how that was possible. Side note. Okay.
Well, condolences for 5 minutes. You'll never get that back.
Yeah. Yep. So that's that on the Qhht. Subconscious questions, you good for those?
Yeah, if you want to. Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of people, we are not taught this in religion or school. So can you really break down what a subconscious is?
Well, I would say it's like a master guide. So they have all the records of everything that's ever happened to us. So when we ask them about certain events, they know exactly why. What was the purpose of those lessons we were supposed to learn from those events? So they guide us, making sure that we don't accidentally fall out of exit points earlier than we should. They are encouraging us and guiding us to be able to have the best experience that we need, knowing that best times and best experiences is not always picnics and fun and dancing. Sometimes the best for us can be very challenging moments, but that is the best for us to learn and grow from. So the subconscious is, we are connected in, they're within us. Really, they're within us. It's when we quiet our minds, we can feel and connect into them. So a lot of people who have these sessions, when they finish, they say, oh, I made that all up because it all just came into my mind. It just popped into my mind. I was thinking that the whole time. I was just telling you my thoughts, Joe. And I say, yeah, because your subconscious is you. Our ego gets in the way and wants to busy our worry and fear and confirm all the darkness and all the whatever doubt and blah, 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 blah. Our ego is like a magnifying glass of all our insecurities and fears, and it will shine the light. So it's a magnifying glass, so it will amplify any of the information coming into us that may seem scary or new, and then it will shine a spotlight on any of the things that may threaten its existence. The ego really is the mind of the body, and the body is worried that you will be exiting from it. So anything new that comes into your consciousness is threatening. It's a guard dog. It's always afraid in some regards, especially when you don't control it. So, it's got your conscious mind, your ego is for all of the emotions. And if you don't have a balanced ego, you are going to find that your emotions are very heightened, very, very heightened. So your ego is very impressionable in terms of peer pressure and being manipulated, being sold bullshit, really. It's really good at doing that. So it is important for us to find neutral, to be able to be open to not being brainwashed, really, from other agendas. We have our own agenda. We have our own life contracts and experiences, and we have our own spiritual teams. So when we do the meditations, which can be not just sitting on a hillside after doing a 50,000 year diet cleanse and smelling like patchouli, you can actually just do a meditation while walking or doing the dishes. You know, it is about not focusing on the emotions, but just focusing on what the words and the messages are within. When we quiet our minds, we usually want to try and find panic and worry and distractions, buy into future problems. I used to be so good at buying into future problems. Every scenario in the future, I would buy into, react, and worry and fear about, distracting myself from the actual day. So when we meditate, when we sit quietly, or when we are just able to focus on what our inner dialogue is, it may take quite a while for you to work through the negative inner dialogue. You're doing it wrong. You're full of shit. You're so yucky. You're so worthless. Look at you in the mirror, you fat piece of ass. Whatever, you know, like that's the basic surface of the ego when you start. Well, that was certainly mine. So I can only speak for myself because I don't have the answers for everyone. But when I actually would stop and feel within, I would have all this yucky, gross, I want to say fat, but it was this dense, tar, sticky bullshit from my ego that was just waiting to get attention, just to confirm that I was a piece of shit. And so I had to clear out all of that by starting to have positive self-talk and not buy into the feelings of what my ego was trying to tell me, because my ego was really just, I mean, if you want to talk about little devils, I mean, my ego was a little devil wanting to make me feel like crap. So, you know, and of course I can only make myself feel like crap because I was convinced that the ego, that negative self-talk was true. So it was all my fears and insecurities just screaming at me. So once I could master that and not pay any attention to the abusive little narcissist that was my ego wanting to attack me anytime I would, you know, want to start thinking about myself, once I could release that, then there was this like kind of quietness, because I wasn't trying to find problems about myself for future problems. So once I could find that balance and neutral, then it was just, or even some people think you've got to do all your fucking inner work to then be able to connect into your team. That's not the truth at all. You don't have to be perfect and super balanced and super, you know, you just need to be able to put in actual effort. And so I had quite a few clients who wanted to be able to channel because that was the thing that they wanted to do, because they wanted to be really special and important. And so, you know, they really wanted to channel. So a lot of their questions in their sessions were, how can they channel? And so I got to listen to many different subconsciouses talk about how they can channel, which was always the information is within you. Many people try to seek information outside of you, even when you try to connect in with your guides. So the fact is that they're all within you. And even if you, and this is the hard thing, they're all within your head. The sense of connecting in with them is within your head, which then makes you obviously feel like you're crazy because you're trusting your own inner self. So there's a lot of emotions and a lot of hurdles you have to kind of overcome to be able to just sit with yourself or stand with yourself, run or jog with yourself, or whatever you want to do, to be able to tune out the environment around you, to then be able to start asking yourself the questions. And if I was, and what I did the first time when I started channeling is I just took myself away from my children, and I was just in this room here, and I just sat with myself, and I just chose to trust anything that came out of my mouth. And so I just sat here, and I was like, what is it? I asked. And I had to get over just talking to myself and like actually talking out loud in a room when no one was there. I had to actually get over that hurdle because I was trying to make all these excuses of why I couldn't do it. So I sit here, and I didn't even want to ask out loud a question to my team, because I was like, oh my God, I'm such a, you know, I had, you know, sorry, I'll try and make this short. So I'm sitting here, and, you know, I know that I'm going to set the intention. I just asked them, what is the most important thing I need to know now? And I just said it out loud. And then I just felt the sense of this response. But instead of just feeling that response and going, oh, no, I made it up, I actually spoke out loud the senses I got within the response. And of course, it was beautiful and kind and nice and caring information that I just thought, oh, this is bullshit. This is just too hallmarky for me. I'm out. No, that's not the information I really needed to know. Thank you very much. And, you know, it was like so caring and kind and loving, but it made me feel uncomfortable because it was like, ugh, really? That's the information I need to know the most to love myself? What a fucking joke. Like, I was just like, it was so anticlimactic. I was expecting the answers of the universe, and I was like, oh, okay, so that's all the information I've always been trying to dismiss and ignore and doubt and just distract myself from. And the fucking first thing my subconscious wants to say to me in a channeled message was that I was lovable, that I was kind and compassionate, and I cared for others, and I should care for myself. And I was like, ugh, disgusted.
So you're a handful too.
I was, because I just didn't value myself, you know, because I just didn't see how significant or special I was. I just felt like I was just, you know, I just thought of all the times that I fucked up in life, you know, and I just held those on as if those were excuses why I couldn't be better. Because it doesn't matter even how hard I tried for today and all the rest of my days, because I've got this other crap that I did in the past, which defines me. I lived my life from the definitions of my other choices in my life, and I couldn't let that go. I carried all of that crap and all the embarrassment and all of those really immature, massively reactionary bullshit stuff that I did, that I judged myself so hardly for, that I refused to consider that I was worthy of not having that definition, that embarrassment, that I couldn't do anything because of all that in the past. No one else remembered what I had done in the past, but I was still punishing myself and was planning to live my life by punishing myself and limiting myself because of my past choices, when I was having literally different experiences to learn and grow from. Instead of growing from them, instead of understanding the purposes and the significances and the life contracts that I played with other people, instead of judging them for their part and role, instead of feeling like a victim to the system, I was very happy hating myself and judging myself moving forward in life.
Yeah, that's a Tom, I think, for a lot of us. Man, I hope this is a 3D thing and not a 5D thing, but it is inspirational to know that even you have gone through that. I mean, we all can change our outlook and, you know, just change our, what's it called? What's important to us. And I mean, just having neutral and inner peace is a game changer, big time. We can all do it.
Yeah. And I was noticing what I was like, I would loop and I'd obsess about certain things that really hurt my feelings. Either it was just, you know, I mean, it could have been really ridiculous. It could have been someone like cutting me off, or a rude exchange of like a shopping situation or something like that, or just a really silly thing a friend said or a family member said. That would totally make me loop and replay that situation again and again and again and again. And it would take me, I could hold on to those sort of situations for a ridiculously unhealthy amount of time. Like, I could not let it go. And I didn't know how to even like release that, to forgive them or to forgive myself for the lack of the words and the expressions that I said. it was like ridiculous. The mental abuse that I put on myself, now it's like I should have been arrested. Just to
yeah.
Okay, so I don't want it to be like a pity party, because it's really not. It is kind of, this is a really good thing for me to express and share with you, Erin, is because now that I reflect back on it, I'm not even angry with myself for how long I held on to it. Because previously I knew I had dropped it, but I was still frustrated with myself how long it took me to wake up to my own bullshit. And like now I'm realizing, oh, that's a new step in growth for me, because I forgive myself for my past, because I really didn't hurt anyone. We all just had life experiences, but I walked around life as if I was a mass murderer of horrific proportions, and but I mean, I'm sure I've killed a whole lot of insects and bugs and things like that, but I don't identify as being a murderer. But the way I treated myself was appalling, and I am sure I cannot be the only special unicorn that used to feel like that too. So, let's just be honest with ourselves. We used to beat ourselves up emotionally, and then of course when we're in those states, that's when we were actually the most stupidest and meanest, dumb to our friends and family, because we were always reacting to that too. If we were holding on to that for ourselves, we were miserable because we were stuck in that crap. And then all our reactions and behavior were because of that as well. So I can't imagine us being, the best service to our friends and family when we were traumatizing ourselves through that.
Yeah. Preach. So true.
This is why we must do our inner work, to be able to release ourselves from that, so then we can be of service to help others through it, identifying we were doing that to ourselves. And and when you can support others and hear others, when we have forgiven ourselves, we know how to forgive others. When we have overcome and learned from our inner work and how we can master it, then we can be able to, without doing other people's inner work, there is a balance there, supporting and seeing what that person's doing. That person that's really angry with you, it's not even personal, because they're in their stuck state, that they're reacting to their own struggles. And when you can identify what's really going on for people, it suddenly takes it away from being a personal attack to a struggling attack, that they're letting you know that they're really challenged. They're really at their overwhelmed, maximized state. And we can give them compassion. We have to give them compassion, because they're not giving it to themselves.
And wow, is that going on right now everywhere? So really good point. Really good point with that.
It's a balance though. It is a balance, because if we see someone that's beating themselves up, and then we come in and smother them with our love and our attention and all that sort of stuff, then they actually get a payoff. Then they realize, oh, this is fantastic. I can be a victim to my life, and people love and adore me for it. So be careful what you are doing to others, because everything we're doing really does come from a loving place now. Of course it should, naturally, right? We love everyone unconditionally. But if you are loving and supporting someone who is showing you that they are in a very fear-based, low density emotions, and they are victims, you loving them for being a victim will not motivate them ever to get out of that mindset. You'll actually enable them to continue on thinking this is your relationship. You love them infinitely, and they will be vulnerable victims.
Yeah, so true. There's a lot of that going on too. I mean, like literally everywhere. I mean, people on YouTube, I mean, all over the place. I mean, it's just like, you okay? You okay? I don't know. So anyway, good to identify that.
Okay, well, sorry if
So
it's.
as far, I'm sorry, what?
I'm hoping that we're not adding to the victimhood, because I don't feel like we're victims. I think we're just being accountable for our bullshit now.
Oh yeah, now we can look back and laugh. But well, I mean, it's good to know like where you started at, because it seems like we're climbing uphill, right? Like in the snow without shoes on, at a 90-degree incline. But it's good to look back to see where we started at, and that goes for everyone that that's listening now. I mean, they're going through their own uphill battle in their own life, so just to know that they're in control of their own reactions of being neutral is really important. So
Yeah.
Hopefully that comes across.
Well, yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed. Free will and all. But for me as Joe, when people are trying to convince me that their lives are the most hardest that I've ever heard, and that they can justify why they are choosing to keep in density because of their choices, I know that there is no competition between who's got a harder life and who hasn't. Everyone's life is the most they can handle to overcome on purpose, not an accident, not whoopsie. We all get the lives we can cope with the most. And so a lot of people say, oh, well, I'll just keep in fear and stress and worry, then I won't get any more fear, stress and worry. And I say, well, you're already keeping it. So it's like a lot of people are still trying to find shortcuts, and so they're trying to figure out how is the least amount of, what is their most easiest path that they don't get any inner work or any more future challenges. And so they're always trying to find shortcuts to be able to bypass the systems of their inner work, and their subconsciouses are not stupid. And so there's a lot of stuff going on that people realize that they've tried to find some shortcuts, and their life isn't going very well for them because they still need to process a lot of stuff that they have been avoiding. And when we have our friendships that are avoiding the bigger elephant in the room about people's mindsets and excuses and behaviors, I've really discovered that when people have labels of self, regardless of whether, if it sounds like it's a good label or a negative label, that's when people get into these trappings of putting themselves in the pigeonhole. We all know the friend that, wants to label themselves either which way, and that's how they identify themselves. It's all cute. We can brand ourselves until the cows come home with our labels. It doesn't matter what we call ourselves, but what does matter is actually what we do. If you want to be a big light worker and you brand yourself as a big light worker, fantastic. But be that big light worker. Do not just get comfortable with the labels that you've placed on yourself and then share that around as your business card of identifying of who you are. Actually be that. It is not cute and trendy to label yourself all these spiritual terms and not actually step up and actually do that job. Spirituality is not a paid job. It is a mindset. It is a behavior. It is the way of your life. It's not a 9 to 5. It's truly a way of life. And a lot of people think that if they just say it enough times, it will come true. Again, it's kind of like creating your reality. And I do realize and identify that a lot of the spiritual words that we know have been branded and made gimmicky, and has made it so common day in uses that the actual terminology has been lost, because so many people are talking about certain concepts but taking it off path and distracting people. And free will and all is fantastic, but when you're disempowering others and not giving them your truth, or your best truth because you're holding back your blocks, somewhere along the line, you're going to have to be accountable for it. And while you think, oh, I'll just forgive myself for being that blocked influencer, it's your responsibility to question if you're doing the most, that you are working with integrity and honor, respecting that the higher beings know everything, and shortcuts or misusing work or abusing spirituality words. I mean, I guess that's a strong term, but I know everyone's a stepping stone, but I would like everyone to be really mindful of the agenda and the purposes of others while they're still reacting certain ways. I don't mind if I get judged for this conversation because I wasn't really watching what I was saying. I'm sure I sounded really judgy in 3D and a bit emotional and a bit erratic, but that is it. I'm okay with that. I'm still in the 3D. I'm still doing the most I can. I hope that people can trust that is my integrity. I really, and my intentions, I'm doing the best I can. And, I have a great support team of true friends that would be able to tell me if I was getting off track, but I also know that my honor and integrity is also humanity's best interests as well. I do not want to be part of the problem. I definitely want to be part of the solution to help humanity. It's literally why I'm here. I stumble over my words. I say a lot of swear words and I like jokes too much. But my true hope for humanity is to love each other and love self, and to stop the things that are hurting you and stop the things that are hurting others. And whatever that looks like for you, I want to support and encourage that.
Love it. Time. That was like the perfect ending.
Okay. Well,
awesome.
I do know that Archangel Michael wants to talk, but we can do it another time, and maybe I do another channeling for him. And
I'm free now if you want to do it, but if you're like, I'm emotionally spent, whatever.
I'm not emotionally.
However, I can help.
I don't feel emotionally spent. I just feel like I'm in this weird reflective. Like, I know you're asking me, how the fuck did you get there? What was your journey like? And it's like, it's kind of like, I don't want to say I've arrived at the destination, but I've arrived at today. Today I'm here, and now you're asking me, Joe, how did you get here? And I'm like, God, what was the steps? What did I do? And so when I reflect back on it, then there has been some emotions that have been brought up. Mm-hmm. Because you were saying to me, you were kind of like, you messaged me one day and you were like, how the fuck are you not angry with this? You just all calm and you're just listening to the subconscious, and then your responses are like, oh, okay, thank you, subconscious, that's fantastic. And then you're like, aren't you angry? Like, why are you not screaming and yelling at them? And I was like, well, first of all, that's I was like, oh gosh, is that how it sounds? Like, that is interesting, because I don't, I haven't really.
No, that was about Carrie, and the reptilian hybrid thing. And the crystalline baby, that's what we were talking, or the baby on the ship thing. That's what that topic was about. But no, it's valid. I mean,
yes. So,
however, same thing, kind of.
Oh, well, that's okay, because I misunderstood it, because I thought you were asking me about how the when they're saying big information sessions, why I can just because I feel like I don't like it when I get emotional when I'm asking questions, because, you know, then I'm reacting to the situation. And when you react to situations, then you can't really think. Well, for me personally, when I'm reacting in emotions and I'm in an emotional state, I can't think how to get myself through this often. So I know that the distractions are the emotions are a distraction for me. So when I'm trying to do sessions, I'm trying not to lose my shit.
Yeah.
But
you do a good job at it.
Well, there's some that I have completely lost it, you know, emotionally and being triggered. I remember one session with, I think it was Karen, and Gaia was saying, you know, that she loves all her children. And so, you know, she's wanting to be patient for them. And I remember getting triggered by thinking, what on earth? Like, seriously, while you're, you know, favoritizing, you know, the naughty kids, the good kids are like getting fully like traumatized and they're challenged and they're having their massive problems. You're, you know, and I know that wasn't the right perspective. I know it, but I really struggled with it. And, you know, I needed to have some time to accept it and realize it actually isn't just the naughty kids she's waiting for. She's actually waiting for the good kids as well to actually awaken up to themselves, because they're still distracting themselves with the 3D details of how to awaken a humanity by disclosing all the stuff that we were supposed to not know about, all of the other hidden agendas. But because those hidden agendas are so toxic and so, you know, so controlled, it had to be disclosed. But then people get stuck with that, just those disclosures of the crimes against humanity so much that they refuse to grow from that or see things from the bigger perspective or why. So therefore you have a whole bunch of these spiritual people, or these, you know, I don't know what else to call them, these people that are half awake who know about the crimes against humanity, who are deeply stuck in that. They're traumatized from it.
Yeah.
They cannot get out of it. And where is the so like I just keep questioning the motives of those people who want to shock the shit out of their followers by telling them about these horrific crimes against humanity and just leave them there with that. And then talk about it week after week after week after week after week. Aren't you just keeping them in the fear-based that stuff? I mean, we know big name influencers who are reptilians. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but saying that's where their agenda is. That is where their motivation is. That is it. And they talk about every spiritual thing. They can't talk about the new earth. They will fucking poo-poo the new earth information. They will call it something else. It's already here. Hey, yay, fantastic. Life's a dream because you're 5D mindset, you know, and if that's keeping people in a positive, if that's giving people hope, fantastic. Whatever is keeping your vibrations high, I love it. I have no problem with it at all. But at least if you're going to listen to influencers, know their agenda. Know and hear and see their emotional reactions to certain things. Are they being victimized by life? If they are, then you know where they're based. You know the information that they can cope with, because they're still in trauma. They're still victims. They're still in fear. And if you're in fear, then you have no trust with your spiritual team. You have no trust of high dimensional beings being here of service. You know, like it's a complicated little web that we're in. But we've got to apply all of the information we know and understand what is motivating people at this time.
Yep. Wow, that was a really good perspective on that. I wish I had that recorded. That was a really good perspective on it.
Okay. Well, should we finish?
Well, yes.
And then we'll chat afterwards and see what else needs to be shared publicly. And I just want to say to the people who, oh, this is going to make me cry. For the people who get this work, who can respect this work, who are doing all of the inner work, I feel you, I love you. And You are doing such a great job. And I know it's hard. I know it's so tempting sometimes to go into the old way of thinking and feeling and being afraid of all of the propaganda that's in our faces. Do the best thing for you. Find your neutral, find your inner peace. Know that you're loved. And never think that you're alone. Because you're not alone. We have each other.